Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Start in a Month 2, Day 4, and end of the first week of month 2 already. In a lot of ways, I'm a lot further ahead than I was when I started this thing in month 1, but you always kind of expect to be like making more progress than you sometimes do in reality. So, yeah, we're just barely getting into the point where like we can upload a photo and like actually like use the photo like in the UI. So yeah, definitely a needed feature. And to be fair, this is all stuff I'm doing for the first time too. So you gotta account for a little like lead up time there when it comes to encountering all the bugs and fixing the bugs and finding the library and integrating the library and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, now that we're back in the domain that I am like a lot more comfortable in, which is the front end, hopefully this will all start to get a little faster now that we got like the most important back end piece figured out. So anyway, some news for the morning. Much like yesterday, there's not much to speak of. We're just kind of working on this thing. So anyway, plan today will be to start with the warm up, and then, as I said, begin the UI work. Now that we can kind of go through that whole holistic process of like uploading an image to the server, getting the path to the image back on the client side, and yeah, after we do that, we can start getting into layout stuff. I'm thinking CSS Grid probably. I'm thinking Flexbox possibly. I think Grid would be the most ideal because I think I can make the most like kind of UI friendly layout things using Grid. Like that's just like makes a lot more sense in my head, but it's got like a little less like browser support than Flexbox does. So we'll see what we actually end up using. But anyway, I'm gonna be really interested to see what that whole process is like. So our mantra today: think about outsourcing when it makes sense. Yeah, this is kind of it's a weird kind of mantra, right? It's not really an emotional thing. It's more like a business thing or a working thing. But yeah, I'm starting to get a little nervy when it comes to like user systems and just like back end stuff in general. I think I could get a lot better at it, like the farther into the year we go. But like as of right now, still like really new to the language. I've done some back end stuff in like numerous past lives, but it hasn't really been anything like too intense or too involved. Like that's just not where my specialty lies. So back end stuff is just a huge drag on my productivity, at least for the time being. And as we get farther along in the UI, eventually we're going to get to a place where I have to build like a user system, right? So like usernames, passwords, login, auth credentials, password resets. I mean, just in that one feature, like that implies like so much back end work, right? Like that's a lot of effort to make something that like on the face of it like seems kind of simple because like looking at it from the outside, I mean it's just like the user system, right? Like how hard could it be? But having never done that before and having this like back end stuff like not really be my strong suit, I'm really nervous that I'm gonna spend like a week making my user system or something, and then that's like 25% of my time gone right there, and that's like much less time to actually do the thing that we're trying to do, which is build the product and build as much product as we can in the limited time frame we've allotted to ourselves. So I'm thinking what I want to do is some like user system API frame. Heard of frame before. I actually used some of this guy's open source stuff back in my JavaScript days. One login, maybe something like this. Anyway, I'm looking for some kind of like one login, simple customer authentication, streamline workflows, identity operations with APIs. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm gonna be on the lookout for something like this because if I could use my user system as an API, then that not only like takes the workload off my shoulders, but also I get to like have the security aspects of this thing and the authentication, passwords and things like that. Like I get to offload that onto someone else. I don't have to spend the time like learning how to do it like safely. So I think that's another big benefit. And I think because we're doing this in a functional language, and since like functional calls are like so similar to API calls in that it's like kind of like this pure thing where you send like data out across the wire, get back your user authentication status. I think if it ever gets to the point where I have like thousands and thousands of users and the pricing for um, these services like gets too onerous for me, I think it'll be a relatively straightforward thing to like eventually roll my own user system. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And I think it would behoove me to start thinking about things like this elsewhere in my workflow, just to kind of free me from doing the things I'm not good at, and enable me to work at a faster clip than I have been. So anyway, yeah, think about outsourcing when it makes sense. It's kind of scary. I'm sure as developers we all kind of want like everything to be within our domain in a certain sense, because if it's inside your domain, if it's in your ken, if it's code that you've written yourself, then you know how to touch it, you know how it works, you know like where to go if there's a bug. So relying on external things is like a little nerve wracking from that perspective, but I think there's a lot of benefits to it too that are going to enable me to work faster and better. So anyway, go try to focus on that. Oh. And the dangers of copy pasting. Right. Get rid of this. Cool. Anyway, so we're going to be continuing on this warm-up exercise. I've been trying to solve this coding challenge for like several days now, so it's a little bit silly because I'm sure I could have written code that would have basically solved this already. But I kind of had a little bit of a revelation. So let's go into our code challenge. How about we get this on new desktop? It's not that one, it is this one. Just take all this over here. So anyway, something I've been kind of like trying to figure out this whole time, and actually let me change my what to do Q&A. Morning warm up. I always forget to update this. Okay, so something that's been like kind of confusing me is the fact that Spec has this super sweet thing. Closure cheat. Man, I should really just have this as like a menu bar item since I'm going here so often. So Spec. Alright, so Spec has this super cool thing called cat. What cat does is it allows you to pass in. Teacher Tyler, good morning. Good morning early. Yeah, what time zone are you in, man? Are you like waking up super early for this? It's only like 9:45 here on the East Coast, so not too early for me, but yeah, for some people this could be like 6 a.m., couldn't it? Yeah, anyway, so as I was saying, we have like cat. And what cat can do is it can take a list of arguments and like run like checks on them. So let me see if I can just do this from scratch right now. So man, it's amazing your code just kind of grows and grows. I've already got 100 lines of this stuff. Yeah, so like scats, even and odd. No. There's this concept that we as human beings kind of super inefficient in terms of like how we like remember stuff and where we store stuff. I think on average you have like 11 to like 15. I just totally made that number up. It's somewhere on the order of like teens, but you've got like, let's say like 11 places where you like store and remember information, whereas it would be a lot better if you had like 1 or 2 or 3, because then all you need to do is reference that one place as opposed to like, you know, the 30 other places you keep your information. So this is kind of like an interesting thing where I've got this video where like I was introduced to like the spec API, and so now if I need to have a reference for how this thing works, like I need to go back to this video. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, so it's like just an sdef demo cats. So right, what this allows you to do, if you have your REPL running, that is, Mind Palace. Oh, yeah, that's geez, what was that Sherlock Holmes thing with Benedict Cumberbatch? Maybe it was just Sherlock Holmes, but yeah, he's going into the Mind Palace all the time. Man, that reminds me. Mind Palace TED Talk. Is this it? Feats of memory anyone can do? I think this is it. Yeah, so this guy is a journalist. Copy link location. This guy is a journalist who wanted to like research like memorizing and like memory palace stuff because he discovered this you know, annual like worldwide challenge where you just get like a bunch of random stuff to memorize, and if you like, you know, memorize the most stuff, then you like win the competition. So he was like really interested in that competition and wanted to research it, but the way he researched it was like teaching some of those techniques to himself, and a year after he started his research project he actually won the competition, which is like kind of a wild thing. So anyway, that's a interesting technique. I feel like if I you know, committed myself to actually using that, which I've tried to a couple times to varying degrees of success, it could be a really interesting thing. But yeah, anyway, for now I'm just gonna keep my information in the form of YouTube videos and screenshots and random blog posts. Yeah, it's really insane, right? It's a really entertaining talk. I highly recommend it. Right, so we got like demo cat. Before we can do that, we need to require our libraries. Yep, and then if you do like conform to demo cats, like 1, 2, it'll tell you it's invalid. Oh no. Bounce number even, oh, maybe it's because I did it backwards. 2, 1. All right, cool. So that will like run spec predicates on a sequence of arguments. And actually, before I get too deep into this, let me just make sure that I can like do this, because I've got an idea. Okay, so you can also pass a quoted list. So that's cool. I'm sure it's along the lines of just having a good note-taking system or some way for easy lookup. Yeah, that too. I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of like notebook systems and other techniques for doing that kind of stuff as well, but The secret to any of those systems is like actually using them because they can exist in theory, but if you're not going to apply them in practice, then you know you might not get to use them. Okay, so hey, Uzier, how you going, man? Doing good. We're doing good. We're continuing on our spec journey. Made a Notion template to track sprints. Yeah, Notion's cool. I didn't want to pay for Notion. I'm doing Typora, which is this kind of sweet, like, open source markdown editor. I think a lot of people are using Notion nowadays. I hear a lot of stuff about that. Demo cat, right. So we've got this cool thing called cat, which can take, like, a sequence of arguments, run a predicate against them, and, like, tell you if it's right or if it's wrong. And the thing about this challenge is, like, you know, we could do like a cat thing for a name like this, right? Like George R.R. Martin. Like, we could very easily do like name, like a first, is it a name? Initial one, two, initial, missing a colon, and then like a last, which is a name. So we could like write that out by scratch, and that'd be cool, but it would not take into account like Abraham Lincoln, right? Because there are no initials in here, and it wouldn't take into account like J.R.R. Bob Dodds or H.G. Wells or anything like that. So we've got this cool tool, but we've got like variadic information. Like variadic meaning like more than one argument to a function, either more or one. You can have like, you know, 3 arguments or 15. I think that's what variadic means. So I've been puzzling about that, and I think what would be really cool to experiment with this morning would be to like look at the string and like split it into its component parts. So like take this string, split it on spaces, and then look at the length. And so, for example, if we had a length of 2, we would know that like both of these need to have like names. And then if we had like a vector after splitting with a length of 4, we would know that like these first 3 either have to be an initial or a name, and the last one has to be a name. And then if we had like a vector with a length of 3, we would know that like these first 2 need to be initials or names, and the last one needs to be a name. So I'm thinking I can do that. I can kind of like build this scat checker based on my inputs, and that'll enable me to like write something like super simple and make like super simple predicates. Like all I really need is a predicate for an initial and a predicate for a name, and then I'm like done, right? But building the scat thing is going to be like my simple way of like taking those super simple, like easy to work with predicates and like composing them into the thing that like I actually need, right? First, middle, last, or middle can be any length. Yeah, you know what this actually looks like in practice, I don't know, but I got this idea for how to do it. Yeah, so we'll see if that's it. So yeah, we're gonna try to build our cat programmatically, and I think I've also finally learned how to use quoting, because if I can like build this list programmatically, and if I can like quote it to put it inside cat, I think that's cool. I think that's going to be a good way to go about it. So anyway, I got ideas for like how to solve this, and I'm kind of like exploring like the tools of the language the whole time too. So we'll see if any of that is like a valid approach, or if I get super stuck and I can't do it. So anyway, we're going to do this for 1/2 hour starting now. Timer for the audience. Sound effect for the audience. Timer on my bookshelf because the ticking drives me crazy. And let's go. All right. So, kind of like a bunch of stuff in here, and I think I don't need all of it, so I'm just gonna like kind of copy and paste everything down to the bottom of my file here. Tick tick Andy. Points. UV dragons. Alright. Down. Alright, so we got valid names. What else do I want from here? Definitely want this capitalized. And I want is capitalized, length greater than 1. I want valid name. Yeah, I guess I need this one too, right? Has at least 2 words, don't need that. Valid name, separated by space, don't need that. Don't need any of this, don't need any of that. Don't need any of this. Okay, cool. So load this into the REPL, load that in, get our predicates, and that would just comment these out so we don't get any, let's just comment the whole thing out, shall we? Syntax highlighting errors, which are super annoying. Okay, now we're here. So I've got is capitalized and length greater than 1. Right. And then I've got valid name. Define name validator. It's going to take a name. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to split it. And just for the sake of not getting too crazy with chain functions, I think I'm going to put this in a let block. It's going to be, do I have the string? Yes, I do. String splits the name. Hey, how about that? Didn't even have to reference a single doc once. Okay, so let's make sure we know how to split a string on spaces. Name validator, Andy Dufresne, nil. Okay, so now we got a vector with 2 strings in it. Okay, now we come to the point where we build our catenation stuff. So let the split name do that. Okay, so split name, and then which all this like gets catenation from the split name. Alright, so what is gets catenation? Name vec. Alright, so now I want like a cond, I think. Test expression pairs, test 1 at a time if it returns logical true, evaluates the return value of the corresponding expression. I think I need to see the docs for that real quick. Cond. Cond. Right, so run this thing and then return that thing. Alright, so yeah, we got count name vec. It's like count high low, that gives 2, right? So if count name vec is 2 equals 2, then what do? We return a quoted list that consists of let's say like first last, I want to say like first last, that needs to be name or initial. And this is going to be valid name. Right. So the first name, we know if we have a name vector with a length of 2 that we have either a name or an initial. Dare you to just use math. Someday. So we have like a R, like G Wells or something, HG Wells. I don't even know if that's a valid name, but we're going to treat it as valid. So first needs to be a name or initial, last needs to be a valid name. Okay. Def name or initial. Alright, so that's going to be like an S or valid name, valid initial. And we haven't written valid initial yet. So sdef valid initial is going to be s and. Yeah, so it's going to be like is capitalized and ends with period. So now we need to write that. Defin ends with period, string. And then we say like last string, and that should equal a period. I'm pretty sure that's how you write it. So now if we say like ends with period, hello. No. Def string there. So what's the last of the string? It's an escapes period. And of course that doesn't equal literally a period, but I wonder if it'll equal that. Last string. Can I call string on that? True. What? String on the last string. Ah, okay, cool. So I got some kind of like weird escaped character thing, but if I cast whatever that was back into a string and then I say, hey, is that equal a period? That is true. Okay. Cool. So we got that. Ends with period, true. Ends with period, not true. Okay. Good. I think you're right about needing chars equals char. Never mind. Yeah, anyway. Probably not, strictly speaking, the best way to do it, but good enough for a code challenge, eh? Alright, so let's call this, let's call a valid initial on something and see if this works. Actually, that was good, because now I know what a just a raw character looks like in Clojure, or at least like from the perspective of the REPL. Because now I know how to distinguish between like this thing, which is like a character, not a string, and this thing, which is like definitely a string. So yeah, good to bump your head against this kind of stuff. So S valid, valid initial. This should pass, I think. Oop. Didn't load it into the REPL, I guess. True. This is not valid. Yep. That's not valid. That's not valid. Hey. Haskell escapes characters too. Yeah, yeah. Ugh, being the front end guy that I am, this is yeah, all kind of like freaky, unexplored territory for me. I just don't like experience these problems like often enough in the web world to you know, really like know what to do when it happens. So yeah, just little baby toes, little baby steps, right? But yeah, cool, man. I read that spec and it totally works. Nice. Okay. So now we can validate an initial. Yeah, let's try this with name or initial. So this should be true. This should not be true. This should be true, and it's not. Is this a valid name? It is a valid name. So I think we don't know how SOR works. Coming from TypeScript, nah, I tried TypeScript for a few months and I wasn't like super into it, to be honest with you. I think people like really love it, but it was not for me. Logical OR. SOR even takes key predicate pairs. Returns a destructuring spec that returns a map entry. Maybe I just need to get these names. Oh. SR name. Initial, valid initial. So now it works. Now it doesn't work. Now it does work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nice. I think I'm getting this. I think I'm getting this. Great. So yeah, now we can say if it's a name or initial. That's cool. True. False. Great. glad that worked. All right, but maybe this would pass. Nah. Whatever. I'm not worried about the corner cases so much. Yeah, first name or initial, last valid name. Okay. Name vec. Unresolved symbol. Defen name vec. Yeah, so if I said like def split name, Johnny Bravo, then I call get concatenation on that. Because syntax error, because it's not in the REPL. Split name. Split name. Alright, so I get that list back. Let's see, the spec engine is really interesting. It's like a functional type system. Yeah, it's like it's like a type system, but it's not a type system. It's like, you know, you can like define things with types, but it's not like a static thing like TypeScript. It's like one thing I always thought about TypeScript, and something I was a little disappointed to discover, like, you know, having that be my first like typed language ever, is like I could only use it to like validate like the code I wrote, I couldn't use those types to validate the data I was getting in, which I always thought would be like the more useful thing. It's like, I don't really care if like the function definition of my function is correct. I want to know like if this thing like, hits the real world and like, is like taking like real data, like, will it work or will it won't? And if it won't work, I want some way to take the data and like kind of mutilate it into like the form that this function needs, or I want to like reject it entirely and like throw an error, or branch off onto some like some alternative like code execution path. And yeah, that seems to be like the thing this library does, which is really cool. It's like the type assertion, which is more along the lines of testing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might be familiar with this video already, but I'll just post it already. David Nolan spec. Yeah, this one, copy link location. I was watching this one this morning. I really like David Nolan. He's got a nice way of explaining things. These are two really good talks on David Nolan, Stuart Holloway, no spec. And this one. Yeah, both of these talks get into that pure TypeScript definitions. Oh man, rough. Very rough. But anyway, these two videos go into like the idea that spec is more about assertions or more about like types. It's really like kind of this like crazy melding of like assertions and testing and unit testing and inspecting data and like evaluating your functions and all this stuff. So yeah, it's really neat. All right, so I got exactly what I want back, which is name or initial or valid name, and now I'm gonna try to like pass that into cat. So I want to say, oh no, I closed it. Spec, intro spec. Back to the timestamp. Back home, need to go back home. Okay. So cat takes this. So how if I do like s explain s cats catenation, probably a better word for that. Explain. It's called with one R, but expects to scat amount number. Yeah, so I think my code linter thinks I've called this function incorrectly, and verily I may have. Assertion failed. Cat expects key 1, predicate 1, key 2, predicate 2, or keys or keywords. That's what I'm trying to give you. In the form of this quote stuff. So let's like back out of this function for a second and say like s explain. Why is it macro expanding? I don't know. Hope we can find out, because this is kind of like the this is kind of like what I'm trying to do here. So if we just did this, let's explain scats on can't I just do this like magical closure stuff and pass you a quoted list? No, that's not it. Could I call it like this? No. Success. True. Okay. Okay, so let's start here. Quote. Shouldn't be quoted list because it's a map. Shouldn't the quoted list be a map? Is it like casting these arguments to a map on the inside? It could be. What if I just passed it a map? Does that work? No. Yeah, it expects a list. It doesn't expect a list. It expects just a bunch of like variadic arguments, like you know, just pass me as much stuff as you want, and you know, I'll run it all one after the other. So like, AB plus AB. Then if I did like add stuff 1, 2. 1, 2. And maybe I don't understand quoting as well as I thought I did. It's like add stuff 1, 2. That'll work. Now how do I add like a list, like a quoted list? Yeah, definitely thinking face. Plus AB. There's also this backtick quote. Now I'm just like flailing around for random things I remember. Let's go to the docs. Yields the unevaluated form. So you can quote both a list, but also just like a straight variable. So quote returns the argument you pass it without evaluation. In JavaScript, we have the spread operator, which can take like this. Oh, you know, maybe apply add stuff 1, 2. Oh. Yeah, so maybe I do like apply scats to this list of arguments. Yeah, this is the way. No, can't take a value of a macro. But I can't just pass you a... Oh, you know what? Maybe if I put these in a vector instead. If it's in a normal form, then Clojure will attempt to evaluate that form. But if I pass it a vector of arguments and use apply, I can't take value of a macro. Man, really? wonder if just can't pass pass things to spec in that way. Like, what if I did apply s and to, oh, not a list, but a vector. What if I did that? Can't take the value of a macro. That's a little disappointing. That was kind of the basis of my whole strategy. Let's see, the only reason you need to quote lists is because otherwise Clojure tries to evaluate the first element with the rest as arguments. That's why it's different than vectors. Right. Wasn't sure the namespace of cat, but might need a map if it's a transducer. Yeah. Yeah, but does this make sense what I'm trying to do here? So I'm trying to like build a list of predicates for, well, not and. I'm going up here because this is like a little simpler and easier to work with. I'm trying to build a list of arguments for cat. So like this will work. This is totally fine. But if I didn't know like what these like keys and predicates were beforehand, like if I'm trying to build that list, like I'm trying to pass it to cat using apply, but it doesn't seem to like that. I don't know if I like have my code wrong or if that's just something you simply can't do with spec for whatever reason. So just poke at this a little bit more. Someone says don't quote a vector. Yep, don't need to quote a vector, that's true. Need to quote a list, don't quote a vector. Well, back to the docs. Apply. Applies function f to the argument list formed by the yada yada yada. Yep, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So if I had to guess, I think I'm using apply correctly. Can't take the value of a macro Clojure spec. Did I try apply scats foobar quacks? It's maybe a limitation of spec. I've seen a library that lets you do specs with data. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, let me try the... Let me try the map thing. I don't think this is gonna do anything, but I think it's worth a shot. And is capitalized, ends with period. Macros do have this kind of limitation. Well, not knowing too much about macros. I'm gonna trust you on that one. People have been working on alternative to spec as well. Oh, really? Here's something interesting. Molly. Data-driven schemas. Yep, exactly what I want. Schema definitions as data. Ah, no. Out of time. Jeez. Okay, well. This coding challenge continues to confound us. Really, we're not so much doing the coding challenges. We're, learning about spec, right? Man, this looks intense. First class error messages, spell checking, serializable function schemas, generating values. Yeah, this looks like all the stuff spec does, but with the part of it I want, apply. There's nothing that uses apply directly, but I'm sure there's something in here that will let me do what I'm trying to do, which is kind of build up a spec programmatically according to my input. So anyway, learned a lot more about spec, learned about macros, learned about the limitations of macros. We learned that there's like limitations to macros in the first place, which we didn't know before. Yeah, so I don't really get it yet, but I'm getting close, aren't I? Let's see. It's all the same kind of idea, but people are trying to reduce the amount of macros. Spec Tools probably has what you want. Oh, Spec Tools. Spec Tools. Closure. The big lumpy tree. Spec coercion, data specs. Spec records, spec-driven transformations. Very interesting. All right, you get to start too. Before I get too deep into this, I think I should get back to work on the product, shall we? Data specs there. Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah, thanks for all the links and pointers, guys. That was a journey. All right. Well. We're confounded once more, but that's okay. I feel like I've grown this morning, and that's the point. All right, so our daily warm-up is done. Very good. All right, now we're gonna start the UI. So let me switch gears. Let me update what I'm doing. Beginning image UI layouts process. Very good. All right, and for anyone who is new who is joining, or people who kind of missed the boat on what we're doing, we're trying to make a better version of this. So this is Google Photos, and it's got this really cool thing where you can take photos, like select a subset of photos, and build a kind of like a photo story, like a travel log, like kind of pictorial, like blog post kind of thing. And it's simultaneously like really hard to work with and like not quite featureful enough, right? Because you end up with this like nice, clean, like white, beautiful thing, but there's so much that I want to do with this. This is our family dog, by the way. This is Belle with a little stuffed toy in her head, so that's a funny photo. She's a good dog. Yeah, anyway, you can like do a centered photo, you can do photos side to side, you can do text, but the text can only be centered. It's kind of hard to do layouts on these photos. You know, like how do I put this here? How do I put that there? UI is like not super great, and the layouts it like lets you do are like kind of limited. Yeah, so I just want something that can like be really easy to use and give you like, you know, more layout options, like fonts. Like if I wanted to do a font with this, I couldn't. If I wanted to do, well, I guess I could do like text. I don't know, I can't. You only got one size of text, you only got one thing of images, you got like such a small subset of things. I think this could be like a lot cooler. So that's basically what we're building out. And if I start my server, I can show you the progress we've made so far. So, right, I think I need to open the backend server. To a cd apps, cd backend code. All right, let's start this one up. All right, let's load the code. Let's run the main function. Okay, server 1 operational. Start the next one. The dev alias. I hope you're all having a nice Friday. It was a very snowy week, first half of the week here, but now it's warmed up in central New York, so it's not quite so snowy, not quite so cold, although it promises to get snowier and colder in the next few days. Alright, so let's kind of walk through what we can do so far. We can select a file to upload. I'll choose this. Can upload a picture, and we can get a response from the server, which right now is right. So we can get that file, we can save it on the back end, and we can send a string back, which should be the path to the file you uploaded, right? So I need to go into the backend server real quick and change that from like a just like a hard-coded string to the actual path on the disk that I saved the file to. All right, I have a file temp path, temp file path. Yeah. So I think I want to get the file name. File name, it's going to be multi-part params image file name. Multi-part params image file name. Alright. So, leave that in there for debugging purposes. And we're going to say not demo file.png, but IO file name. Alright. We'll set the stats 200 back once we're done with that. Headers and localhost 3000 slash. Nope. Not quite that. Slash file name. Alright. So that's all good. Some good week one progress. Yeah. You know, it's, yeah, on the one hand, it took me like 4 days to upload this image to a server and get the path name back. So, you know, in my mind's eye, I kind of want to be like farther along than where I am. But, you know, I'm doing this all for the first time. I'm doing this in a language that I've been using for like all of a month. I mean, I started, you know, really seriously coding in Clojure just at the beginning of January. So, you know, it's kind of a process of like being okay with the progress you're making and being okay if it's like not quite as much as you'd like it to be. So trying to stay in that mind space, but sometimes it's a bit hard. Okay, cool. All right. So now we got a path to the file, and if we look on the disk, yeah, but thank you though. I don't want to get too down about my progress because I'm feeling good about being here, and this is much farther along than I was in last month's startup too. So it's all good. It's all good. Just got to be a little patient. I'm making more progress than I think I am. All right, great. But this is cool. So now we can not just overwrite the same screenshot over and over again, but we can upload new photos too. Ah, neat. Okay. So now we can do that, and now we come to the question of how to get this into our browser. Let's see, I'm starting a new project for February as well. Ah, cool, man. Something simpler. Yeah, well, you gotta start simple first. A common mantra that I'm repeating to myself frequently is, you know, you gotta start like small, and then you can move on to something big. Start the smallest thing first, and then your small things become big things in time. But yeah, man, if you ever got a link to share, you should put it in the chat. I'd be really curious to check that out. All right, so now we got the file name. So now we need a handler. So we're just using like the default Ajax core handler. So print line. The color of the pen is percent sign. Just something silly. CLJSAX ish. Yeah, something I'm always a little uncertain of is when I've hot reloaded and when I've hot reloaded, you know? Like sometimes I'll hot reload and the code will just like kind of work, but sometimes I'll hot reload and Ajax response. Maybe I need to go back to the docs for this library. Maybe I'm not doing that right. Definitely saved it. Closure script Ajax. Yeah. Get post put handler. Handler function. Check if you do not private the handler. Yeah, it's pretty much what I did already, but just for the sake of experimentation, let's see if this gives us a different result. Select file, open, upload. Why am I just getting the default response over and over again? Maybe I'm outside the object. I'm outside the map. Yeah, that's it. Get hello params vex strategy. Right, so always the nesting I've gotten goofed up on. Save this. I bet we'll get the right log. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm finding I do my standing desk at 11, but it's Friday. I'm feeling sore, like I've been sitting all week. The other thing about when it snows is you don't get outside for your walks as much because the sidewalks are totally just snowed in. Yeah, so now I can do that. Now, we got some questions to ask of ourselves, right? Like image file. All right, image file. Yeah, so this is probably not what it's going to look like down the line, but just need to start somewhere. So what we say, def once, image URL, our atom, empty string for now. All right. So after we get back, we're going to say resets, image URL, with the response. And then I wonder if I could just put a little image tag in here. While the atom is set to an empty string, we just won't get an image, but once the string arrives, we probably still won't get an image because I don't think I've actually set up the backend code to serve static assets just yet. So image source is going to be at image URL. The alt is going to be image didn't load yet, huh? Alright, so we got the alt text because we don't have an image yet. Let's see if it works. Right. String that domain. Wait, hold on. I think I'm sending back the whole domain, right? So I don't need to do that. Alright, so we get a faulty get on page load because can't do that. And even though I think we have an image in our application state, we still don't have the ability to get. So yeah, let's set up static image serving. I think I had an example of this on plotters at some point. Plotters. And was it here? Yeah, we'll get back to this someday. Static. Yeah, static site config. Here we go. So, static. Yeah. We got a config still around, but we don't have the ring stuff. So I think we need to go back to the docs. Serve static assets. Ring closure. Serve static resources using closures ring. That's exactly what I want. Need to add one bit of middleware that would take care of serving static files in a folder you can select, something like the following. Alright. Require that thing, step 1. This is the right app. No, it's not. Okay. Wrap resources. Alright. Step 1. Get that thing. Wrap resources, app routes, public. Resources public. All cores. Wrap resource. Jot. Public. Get that into the REPL. Nope. Yep, wrong syntax. Stack Overflow is a dangerous thing. Alright, wrap resource. Commas for the placeholder. So this is now our app. Now we go into public. I don't even think we have public folder here yet. And I closed plotters, but I shouldn't have because I don't know where the public folder goes. Public folder goes. Resources. Public resources. Yeah, I think that goes next to source. Public, yep. Oh. Alright. Been watching a lot of cartoons recently. Pendleton, Ward, Face. Oh, wait, there it was. Yeah, I want this one. If you guys are familiar with the show Adventure Time, this shows up in a lot of places. Alright. Nope, not find in folder, but reveal in finder. Okay, now if I open up my desktop, get a little test image in there. Now, on the front end, let's see if we have a server that can serve a static image. So, source will not be that. The source will be, http //localhost 3000 public pendleton.png. Alright. So save this. Let's head back to the browser. Did we get it? Nope. Did we, however, request it? Oh, 200, okay. What? Cannot be displayed because it contains errors. The image cannot be displayed, so it knows it's an image. Yeah, I guess so. What errors does it contain, I wonder? The image cannot be displayed because it contains errors. Looks like people have encountered this one or twice. Okay, so it's a Firefox specific bug. Not to say that this is okay if we go to Chrome and this works, because it needs to work on both browsers, but if it's a Firefox specific thing, then that brings us a little closer to understanding what's going on. So, not Firefox specific. So I also don't get it in Chrome. Pendleton PNG. It's telling me 200, but I'm kind of skeptical. Maybe there's a missing step somewhere. Maybe I left Stack Overflow a little too quick. Start your server. You should be able to public resources. Do I need to put it in resources? Maybe I need an intervening folder. I do want to move it CSS. Static resources. Alright, well, let's see. Let's see if we got what we need here. Resources. No. Document type PNG. Pendleton, yep. And back to the docs. Back to the docs. Static resources. The other is rep resources that stores static content from the JVM class path. App rep resource, your handler, public. Rep resource, public. Rep resource, public. Rep content type middleware chooses a content type based on a file extension. For instance, a file called hello.txt would get a content type of text plain. The wrap not modified middleware checks last modified header on the response against the if modified since header on the request. Could be useful for later, not right now. Wrap content type might be important. I'm guessing this comes from the resource middleware as well. I hope it does. They need to be in the resources public folder. Yours looks reversed. Public resources, resources public. Yep. You're exactly right, dude. Rename. That is exactly right. New folder. Public. Nope. Nope. Needs to be new folder. Resources. Public. Alright. I bet that was the problem we were having. Delete. Resources public. Also delete this. It also needs to be one level up, I'm guessing. So I've got that in my source directory. No, I don't. And I think it should be outside. Resources. Public. Man, what's going on? Public resources. Move. Get rid of that. Oh, not rename, but delete. Public resources, that file. Also make sure you've got resources added as a source path in Dev-Eden. Ooh, good point. I do already, right. Yeah, I copied that over from something else. And just to make sure I'm not totally crazy here, how about we just restart the server? Alright, back to the future. Oh. Rep content type does not exist. Well, that's a problem. Ring middleware content type. Yep, that's a difference. Refer wrap content type. That's a different thing entirely. New message. VS Code is fighting you. Yeah, it really is. And very, very comfortable in VS Code. But, man, I've seen people do so much cool stuff with Emacs that I'm kind of curious about it. I'm a little hesitant to get into Emacs since I feel like it's just such a huge learning curve. And all kinds of, like, keystrokes to memorize and, you know, concepts to learn. So, maybe in the future. But for now, I think I need to stick with what I know, just to not overload me too terribly much. Alright, refresh. Picture? Nope. Maybe I'm not asking for the right location. I'm not. Where's 3000 slash pendleton.png? Oh, wrong one. Public resources, Pendleton JPEG. Ooh, yeah, that'll mess you up. Still problems though. Double check that resources folder name. resources. RES sources. Yep. Did we call that here? Public. Depths Eden resources. Rename that folder. Resources. Yep. Pendleton. Do I have the right path? Shouldn't it be resources public, not public resources? Is that what we had before? Resources public. Couldn't hurt to have both, could it? Option drag. Alright, resources public, Pendleton, JPEG. Not there. Not here. Man. It's nice to have something goofy to look at while you're struggling with this kind of stuff. App resource public. Back to the docs. Back to the docs. App, your handler. App, your handler. Wrap resource, public. Wrap content type. Wrap params, map multi-part params. It's wrap params. It just gives us access to params. Oh, you know what? Is that you, Craig, that told me about HashP a couple weeks ago? This might be a good opportunity to use that. Do I have that in Depths Eden? HashP. HashP, clojars. One of the especially cool things I've seen in Emacs is like this kind of automatic like dependency adder keystroke thing that this guy had. Hopefully it works. I think this is like, no, we figured out that threading is like not the thing that you can use HashP for. So if I want to like inspect what my server config is like after I call this function on it, this might not be the tool actually. But I could do like a function stuff, wrap resource stuff. What's the result of evaluating that? HP.core. And how many libraries do you need to write an application? Okay, so now I got HashP in my namespace. I think I stopped my server. Maybe I didn't. But get in there. run the thing. Hey, check out the rep resource. Source says the root path will be added at the front of the resource. So maybe the image is that public Pendleton JPEG. All cores. Yeah, let's get rid of this craziness. Yeah, public Pendleton JPEG. Get in there. Oh. Run the server. Yes, let's hi. Yep, okay, server's running. Public Pendleton JPEG. JPEG. That's obviously not it. Yeah, so like, we tried that already. Public resources, public. Copy path. Localhost 3000. Yeah, nope. Oh well. Oh well, we have to just keep going, huh? I think it didn't like this though. Field vector. No. Hey, like that. Symbol cannot be cast to a persistent vector. Due to, I've also seen like due to being used for stuff like this, or I could just like, you know, print line it real quick and then return whatever. Evaluates X, then calls all the methods and functions. Returns X. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, so it's a function. But what do I get when I call that function? Just want to see. Let's just call it out some random map. Wrap resource int public. What does this give me? Gives me a function. And if I call tester, what do I get back? I get nil back. The mystery of how to debug my ring handlers continues. Ramp resource public. We have ostensibly copied the documentation step for step. So let's just go back to the top and read it again. Web applications often need to serve static content, such as images or style sheets. Ring provides two middleware functions to do this. One is wrap file. This serves static content from a directory on the local file system. This will wrap a handler such that the directory at the given root path is checked for a static file with which to respond to the request, proxying the request to the wrapped handler if such a file does not exist. The other is wrap resource. This serves static content from the JVM class path. If you're using a closure build tool like LangEngine, then the non-source file resources for a project are kept in the resources directory. A file in this directory is already included in your jar or war files. Public. And just for the sake of experimentation here, Charlie JJE, I don't know if this is related. Did you make a route for the resources? Oh. Route resources goes to the roots. Route resources, create folder, resources public. Here's an example that deploys to cloud bees. Source, core CLJ. Alright, so this also has ring middleware resource, route resources, wrap. Composure route as routes. Composure route as route. Yeah, worth a shot. Routes. Serve up the route. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. So our handler goes into the REPL. We can get rid of that. Yeah, so let's try that. Ah, there it is. Ah, that was it. Thank you, Char JJE. That was it. That was it. That's what we were missing. It's so bizarre, man. Like, oftentimes I'll go to, like, you know, the canonical, like, you know, this is the wiki for, like, Ring, right? And that had, like, one key piece of missing information in there that, like, I couldn't do the thing I was trying to do without. Nice. It is nice. Thank you, Craigie. Very good. Man, I actually, like, edited this wiki yesterday because, yeah, this, like, file uploads thing has, like, everything I needed to, like, get the temp file. And then, like, I added this segment here yesterday because I didn't know how to interact with, like, a Java object, you know, being brand new to this language. There's nothing in there about bean, there's nothing in there about IO copy or IO file. So, like, you know, you can get yourself like 80% of the way there, but if you wanted to do anything with file uploads aside for like just putting a temp file on your server, there's like nothing in this wiki for a reference. So hopefully that will help out future people. And I should also do that for this. So I'm gonna put that page aside for later and also update that wiki. Great. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Doc should mention this. Yep. Well, they will soon if I have anything to say about it. Okay. So now we can actually get our picture. Pendleton.jpg. Great. We can do it cross-browser too. Alright. So quick Chrome. We will go back to here. And right, we still have the wrong path for that one. Pendleton JPEG, save that, go back. Alright, so now what we want to see is the image we uploaded there instead of Pendleton Ward. All right. Image source. Yeah, so not this, but that. Great. So now, oh, you know what? We also need to change our backend code. I'm realizing as we're writing the file to the wrong place. All right. Upload image. Okay. So right now we're just saving this like straight to the root, but we should be yeah, so this should be, boy, somewhat of a mistake to have resources public and public resources, because now I can't remember which one's which. Okay, resources public. Get rid of public resources. This will only confuse me. Alright. Yeah, so this is now string resources public / file name. Yep. Into the REPL it goes, and file name is still the same because, yeah, we're getting it from the same place. The URL will be the same. It'll just be in a different spot on the actual server. Alright. Select a file, profile pic, upload. Somewhat unsurprisingly, nothing. Alright. So, how about we do I'm also a bit unsure on like when I actually need do and when I don't need do. Line string URL is that thing. All right. So we're looking for a console log. Where's this coming from? So, let's see, string temp file. File name. Alright, save. Into the REPL you go. Select a file to upload. Does it log? It doesn't. Select a file. Does it log? Curiously does not. What have I done now, I wonder? And just for good luck, we can restart the REPL. Alright, 45 minutes. Alright, main. Okay. Upload the file. New message. That object in the URL is the browser console. Looks suspicious. Yeah. Yeah, I think, get object file. What's that coming from? Is that coming from my, I think that might be coming from my image tag. Yeah, because we get rid of this, we put that back, then we are no longer attempting to get images that don't exist. But let's see if it shows up when we actually upload. Oop. Okay, so that was the fact that we like haven't actually gotten the URL back, so that image tag is trying to request something that doesn't exist yet. Oh man. What happened to my image uploader? Upload image. API, upload image. Close 3000, API. But not no image file. Line. Uploading image. URL is it's a little weird, right? Unclick, upload image. Alright, so we're logging high. Now, nil image file. I think, reset image file. Oh, so you're actually right. You're actually right, Craigie, because it was, your beginning UI layouts look like my finished ones. Oh, hey man. I was in your stream yesterday. Welcome. Yeah, I'm using, Tailwind CSS, which is, saving my butt. So I've got, like, enough CSS like knowledge and skill to be dangerous, but man, this like utility library is like revolutionary for me. It's like super easy to get something up that looks good. Yeah, so welcome to the stream, man. Oh, and actually other people in the stream, if you want to check out other Clojure live coding streamers in the afternoon, Coding and Coffee runs a stream at what's that, 12 o'clock PST. So yeah, you guys should check that out. I was there for the first time yesterday and quite enjoyed it. Okay, so that guy's making crazy trading platforms. I'm just trying to get my image to show up. But okay, so we got the image file figured out. Reset the image URL. So now let's see if we can upload something. Open. No protocol. Named resets. Target files first. Alright, so when the image file is not nil, append the image file to the form data, send it to that URL. So we're getting this. Noon PST, yeah, today will be funny because I'm going to be the dentist first and half my face will be numb. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's always an adventure trying to speak and not drool all over yourself when that kind of stuff happens. You want to, oh right, you want to remove the image file. Can't destructure in your reset, which is a thing I'm like consistently getting wrong. Never quite know when to destructure an atom and when to just like pass the atom straight in. Upload picture. Alright, so upload the image. Is it in our resources public folder? Indeed it is. Awesome. Alright, so now theoretically, can we get the right image URL? Image URL. Reset the image URL to whatever we get back from the server. So yeah, I think, ooh, here we go. We can do an OR. On my phone, so sorry if your stream info already says this. What are you building this month? Oh, we're building a, like a photo story demo. I should really put this up in, somewhere on my blog, on Twitch, possibly both. But basically, we're trying to build a better version of this. So this is something you get from Google. And there's also some like third-party stuff available as well. The basic idea is that you can like add images to this thing like from your phone and do like layouts, add text, you know, align the various images in different layouts. But yeah, it's just kind of vanilla, not super interesting. I want to be like really creative with this and like make something that's like more interesting than a white background and a fairly limited set of like layout options and like just centered text. I really want to like unlock some like cool stuff you can do with the web platform in terms of you know, layout stuff and you know, text alignment, size, fonts, things like that. So that's basically what we're trying to build. So the idea is that you get pictures, you put together like a little blog, like travel log, story oriented thing, and then after that you get a URL and you can share it out for people to look at. So even if they don't have a Google account, even if they don't, you know, have an account in your like walled garden social media place, you know, they just click on the link and they can, you know, view it no problem. Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll see if it pans out in terms of being something that can earn me money, but I really want something like that to exist. Closure. Or let's see, expressions one at a time. No. That's for evaluating expressions. That's not for evaluating values. So I will not get too fancy with this just yet. All right. So at long last, profile pic, open, upload picture. Ooh, yeah, that's it. That's what we want. Okay, cool. So we can upload a picture, we can send it to the server, we can give it a URL, we can send the URL back to the client, and we can get it in the client. It only took us an hour and a half. Okay. Well, actually, to be fair, I did start this around like 10:15, 10:30, so that wasn't so bad. It's one of those problems that seems like really simple at the outset, but there's like so many tiny pieces of it that can like go wrong. All right. Yeah, so beginning image UI layout process. Yeah, that's still what we're doing. Like man, there's like a few places I could go with this now. So we've got the piece where we can like upload an image and get it back on the client. So we got that part like figured out in like kind of the naive sense. Places we can go with this are adding text blocks. Yeah, adding text blocks or like laying out the images. I don't really know. I've got like a loose idea in my head. Like I want like a palette of like grids essentially. So kind of pre-built custom layouts where, you know, it can be like 4x4, like kind of a picture frame thing where you've got 4 equally sized images all next to each other, or like a straight layout where, you know, you've got like images right to left aligned like that, and maybe you can like wrap onto a new row. But for now, I think maybe starting with the text is going to be a little simpler, and that'll give me a better idea for how to do the layout stuff for images. It's like if I'm working with text, that's like all in the browser, and I don't need to worry about like all this image uploading stuff and things like that. So yeah, if I wanted to add text, where would I start? I'll probably have a text area. let's just put above this thing. Text area, class, place, folder, test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we want like a width full. We want text large. We want a text black. We want a height like a Pinterest or Instagram flex layout with a collage feel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a cool CSS grid masonry. Yeah, so this is like something that's like relatively new to the world of CSS that I want to try out. So it's kind of like that Pinterest grid masonry layout thing, which up until like fairly recently you had to do with JavaScript like every time. Like there was no way to get this kind of layout just with CSS alone. But yeah, with the new grid spec, you can actually do this like just CSS, which is really cool. And also lends itself well to that like template layout thing I was talking about before. So that'll be a really cool way to explore that. Let's do a little tab, clean up. All right, documentation. Man, what was I looking for? Heights. Heights. Height 40 will give you a height of 10 rem. Then like a border. Like a rounded SM. And border black. Like a border 2. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Great. Not super pretty, but close enough for rock and roll. Alright, so you gotta enter your text in here and it's gonna show up in the browser somewhere. So now what I want to do is I want to like enter in something here. I want a button. I want to say like add text block. Unclick, add text block. Define function, add text block. Alright. Now I need an on-change for my text area. On-change. Handle text. You know what? Reset the input value to be the result of the target value of whatever we entered. Alright. Def once. Input value our atom. Empty string. Yeah, so now add text block is going to it's gonna do what? Well, for now I think it's just going to append whatever I entered on the page somewhere. So yeah, it's going to be like call function in reagent templates. If I was doing this in React, I would have function call in here that would return JSX. That JSX would be the result of mapping over an array or something. But I think in Reagent all I can really do is pass in more hiccup templates. I don't think I can like call a function inside a Reagent template. Yeah, so this is going to be a new component. Entered text. Yeah, I should be able to. I get the feeling that I've tried to in the past, and it's like giving me an error. So if we try like this function only returns like a paragraph that says, "Can I do this?" Oh, maybe I can. So that's just a function definition, but I didn't actually call it. Okay, so now what I want to try is like an iffy. Yeah, I wonder if I did something really weird like this, if that would work. Nope. Yeah, how would I like invoke that function right away? Yeah, I guess I just wrap it in more parens, right? Strange that that appears. There, you're right. An error occurred, invalid error D0. Yeah, do I need to put this in a... This is getting silly. Very silly. Yeah, I'm sure I could like feasibly do this, but time is running short. Nope. Oh, maybe the problem was with entered text function rather than what I was trying to do before. Now also unmatched delimiters. Let's just back it up and figure out where we went wrong. Okay. So this function that I'll just define outside my template. Craigie says for that anonymous function you need to use do, like do. Oh. Ah, okay. So if I did like the function syntax, I can do that. Like, hello. Right. I read that right? Usually use function stuff. No. And if I call the function I define, that'll help. Ah, yep, there we go. Cool. All right. Well, that was good for educational purposes, but I think the function I'm about to write is going to be a little bit too much for an inline kind of thing. Wrap the function more. Okay, right. Yep. No, always really good to learn more stuff though. So add, or I would call this render text. All right. So now I want to say like, can't render a println statement, can we? I want to say like a p with put the input value in there. Just an atom, so we need to dereference that atom. Did it work? Target files first. Nope. Events.target.value is what we want. Yeah, it's always trying to say sorry for distraction. Oh no, man, it's cool. Like I was saying before, it's good to kind of like bump your head on these things just to like get a sense for like how this stuff works. Did it work? Oh hey. I forgot the magic of React. We can just enter it in and have it show up right away. Cool. So now I can get that on. So I can get text in, and now I need a concept of like multiple text blocks. So yeah, I think instead of just a straight value of like text in that atom, what I want is like a vector of what will for now be text strings. A vector of text strings, and then after I can get multiple values in there, render multiple values onto the page, I can move on to the process of like moving them around on the page, like picking them up from the DOM and putting them somewhere else, which I've also never done. I know that there's a library that both makes this really easy and also has a wonderful name, Dragula. So might be a good opportunity to like integrate this. That would also give me a little more experience with like, you know, ClojureScript, JavaScript, interop stuff. But yeah, if I was gonna like drag stuff around on the DOM and somehow like save that for later, like not only reorder stuff on the DOM, but somehow save that to the database and get it to the point where I could like request a layout someone had like built, and maybe they got like halfway through and they, you know, are like coming back to it later and they want to edit it again. Like I not only need to reorder that in the DOM, but I also need to save that in the database such that I could like, you know, load that from a database later on down the line and have all the React components all in the right orders, with the right class names in the right places on the DOM. So that could be like fairly tricky, but yeah, there's like utilities which make this possible. Dragula like the Rob Zombie song? Yep, exactly. JavaScript's full of this stuff. Which makes me, I don't know, reading JS documentation is always kind of fun. You know, you never see like Clojure docs that were like pink, or with, you know, the graphics so far like front and center. So I do miss that a little bit from JavaScript, but, you know, it's all trade-offs, right? Also with the striking visuals comes a lot of hype and a lot of churn. Okay, so right. Yeah, first things first, let's yeah, I think this is gonna be like a intermediate input val. So that's going to keep track of whatever you like entered into the text box, and then from there I can like kind of push it into like a vector. Pushed into a vector when I'm ready. And that's what add text block is going to do. And did I even... Didn't even write that function yet, but ClojureScript, don't care. do. Okay, inner text, don't need that. Render text. Def once text blocks. It's going to be our atom empty vector for now. And input value. I'll just call that intermediate input value for now. And I think if we go back here, it'll still be working. Yeah, all right. Very good. Yeah, so instead of doing that, we want to have our button actually do something. So add text block is going to conj. Oh no, hold on. It's an atom, so we need to swap the text blocks with some kind of function. We've been doing a lot of resetting, but we haven't done so much swapping in this closure adventure. So I'm going to go back to the docs and remember how to do this. Swap that thing with whatever that function is. Okay. Okay, so swap the text blocks with the result of conjing whatever was in there. Oh, that comes as an argument, right? Conj whatever was in there with our intermediate input value. And I also want to like empty that out. Like resets intermediate input val with an empty string. Reset has an exclamation. Alright. So cool, we got that. Render text is not a paragraph of intermediate input values, but it is a result of map v function paragraph text value over our text blocks. Oh. Hiccup form should not be empty. So we need a when. When not nil, when that's empty. Text blocks. Render the text block. Oop. I'm lost in my key commands. So, oh, I sent that window over there. Whoops. Okay. There we go. Not empty. That's when that equals empty text blocks, I think. Yep. Back to school. Return true if x is logical false. Right. When not equals empty text blocks. There we go. Missing a parent to call empty paren. Yeah, I think that was the problem I just got. Yeah. So now we'll successfully compile. Back here. Pickup form should not be empty. Template closure script. And I can only suspect it's that function doing it to us. So maybe like an if. So if I have text to render that text, but otherwise give me just maybe an empty p for now. And that equals empty. If not equals empty, right, I need to move this out. Back there. Alright, now I've got it. If not equals empty text blocks, map over those. Well, equals empty. I know what I'm doing. I don't think that's valid. Code right there equals what I want is like equals true empty. So I want to say like empty vector. That's true. So if empty, yeah. If not empty, text blocks, right? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right. So now we don't crash. Test. Hello. And text block. Crash the app. Closure idiom for not empty is seek. Sequeux. Returns a sequence on the collection. If the collection is empty, returns no. Oh yeah, that's returns nil. So can I render nil? I can't just put that there. So if I can just like straight render nil, then I can return nil from a like React component returning function. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I do this in JavaScript. Yeah. Like if you return if we were doing React in JavaScript, you could return false or undefined or null from a component, and React will just treat that as like, yep, well, you got nothing to render, so I'm just going to ignore that. So, yeah, instead of that like empty text blocks thing, I can just use seek, and then if I've got something to like sequence over, then I get it back. But if not, it'll just return nil and nothing will render. So yeah, that's a better, simpler way to do this. So sequence, yeah, it's like a seek over that map. One too many parens. Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's give that a shot. All right. I think it works. All right. Man, I had this from a previous. Yeah, Craigie, was it you who was helping me with this? I forget, but I was trying to figure out how to map. Over variables and reagents. Documentation. Whoa. Where's that like homepage? tutorials and FAQ. The anonymous function has the same issue, needs a do for, oh, in the map feed. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the fact that I was mapping, maybe it was the fact that I was trying to do that. Need to do or use function. Right, so now if I go back, I just always use function. Yeah, it's probably an easier way to like think about it, right? It's like having to remember to add do in there is a bit tricky. Oh man, I keep crashing this thing. Sequence, map feed, do, paragraph for everything in my text blocks. Yes, maybe I should do the thing they tell you to do here, which is like a for loop, much though I prefer to map. And that other thing we talked about was in reagent, if you want to fill a UL, you can use into, that was it. Yeah, that's what I want. Into, yeah, I should probably put this in a UL element anyway, right? Like, sequence into UL this thing. Into the UL goes a sequence. Into the UL goes a vector of paragraph tags or nil. Hey! There we go. Craigie for the win. Nice. Okay, cool. Alright. Yeah, I think in that case you wouldn't need the seek. Right, yeah, anyway. We got what we need, which is ULs with P's instead of LIs. So let's be good little accessibility people and put that in a list item. Right. Yeah, so that's cool. Value. Oh, right, I'm not doing a value on the placeholder. So if I say value intermediates input val, text disappears now. Right, cool. All right. So we can get the stuff onto the page, which is great. Now in these final 7 minutes until 12 o'clock, we'll end at 12. Dragula. Closure scripts. I wonder if someone's done like a port. CLJS Dragula. Alright, so I could use the library straight away. I wonder, because like React is so much about like state not living in the DOM, so like I bet the vanilla JavaScript version of this consists of like dragging the elements, finding the point in the DOM to which you have dragged them, and then just like reordering the DOM. But we need to also keep track of like where these things are in our vector of components in our map, because yeah, if you hit refresh and like all your state was saved in the DOM, then you know, you can like drag and drop to your heart's content. But if you don't do it in a way where you can like you know, save that and like make it referenceable by React after the fact, then you know, it's kind of half of a feature, isn't it? So my next idea is to search dragging library for React D&D. Very nice. 12 best React drag and drop libraries. Wraps your components, that's cool. Examples. Drag and drop. Let's see, if Dragula has event hooks that expose the attributes, you could reorder your state on change. Yeah, like drag them and then maybe like take a look at the DOM and like reshuffle my React components after the DOM's changed. Yeah, that could be a way to do it. Yeah, if I could have a way where I don't look at the DOM first, that'd be a nice example of JS interop. Yeah, right. React D&D, that came up first. 5 stars out of 5. Dragtastic, sortable tree, photo gallery. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, isn't it? React Draggable. I feel like I've heard of that. Oh man. Take me to the GitHub page, man. I track my deltas. That's cool. I don't want to be dragged. I can only be dragged vertically. I can only be dragged horizontally. You can drag me anywhere. I snap to a fit. Ooh, that's cool. I can be moved 100 pixels in any direction. Yeah, it seems to have a lot of cool examples. Can't argue with 5-star reviews. No, you can't. Oh. Okay. So you wrap a div in a draggable, and then you can drag it. Controlled versus uncontrolled. Draggable is a batteries included component that manages its own states. Use draggable core. Occasionally want to programmatically reposition their components. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do, right? Teach Tyler says, element was dropped into target before a sibling element originally came from source. So create a transaction of updating element ID from the source to target on the element. This is from the Dragula spec. For the drop event. L was dropped into target before a sibling element and originally came from a source. Create a transaction of updating the element ID from source to target on the element. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I should fork me on GitHub. I always think that's kind of funny. Maybe I should just read these docs, shouldn't I? Have you ever wanted a drag and drop library that just works? Yeah, I think I do. That actually understands where to place the elements when they are dropped. That doesn't need you to do a zillion things to get it to work. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, it's 11:59. And to save you guys the pain of watching me narrate the documentation, I think I will call the stream there. We got some good stuff to research for the afternoon, and yeah, we actually made a lot of good progress. We got the concept of like text and adding text. We can add text to the screen, and we can like totally upload files. Actually, you know what? We just have kind of a fun image to like finish off here with. So, come on, screenshot. Where'd you go? It's a little screenshot of my stream there, upload picture. Yeah, that's really cool. Getting to this place is like very important. So glad we got there. I'm glad we can add text. Now we just need to figure out how to drag. And after we figure out how to drag, we can get into like the really cool stuff that Google does not let you do, which is like layouts and grids and colors and orientations, text sizes, text fonts, things like that. So yep, we'll see that on Monday, 9:30 EST. And yeah, no, thanks for joining. Thanks Craigie. Thanks Kevin. Kevin, I think your name is Coding and Coffee. Good luck with your own stream. Have a nice day, everybody. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you next week. So, catch you later.